water, earth, fire, air. You know what I'm talking about. That band from the 1970s. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Actually, that's not what we're here to talk about today. I mean, I'm pretty sure you know by the title, this is the day that Nickelodeon died. So, I mean, first of all, we're going to start off after the era of 1998. So 1999, pretty much May of 1999, first episode of SpongeBob came out. It's been a hit ever since. We're almost on 20 years of its runtime, and we're here to talk about shows that were almost made it onto Nickelodeon, but weren't quite there yet. And shows that made it on Nickelodeon that just didn't make it past the screening process. That I don't know how they managed to get on Nickelodeon, and I don't know why they were on Nickelodeon. Like, for example, the disaster that was Planet Sheen, and the disaster that is now Henry Danger, and the disaster that is now Game Shakers, School of Rock. What other ones are there that are just absolutely... I'm sorry that people have to watch that. Haunted Hathaways, shows like that. I am sorry that for those of you who did watch those shows, I am sorry because I did not particularly enjoy them. So, I'm sure there's already a bunch of comments down there already basically saying, guess what, you were wrong, that's a great show, those are great shows, why are you talking about them, blah blah blah. This is my opinion. I don't care. Those shows were horrible. At least in my opinion they were. But we're actually here to talk about other shows like, for example, Legend of Korra, and the one that started it all, Avatar. So, but these we will get into. We will get into this later in the episode. Today we're here to talk about the first. Pretty much the first Nickelodeon show that took off and is still running today, SpongeBob. Now, what does SpongeBob have to do with this? Well, pretty much the day that SpongeBob died was after the movie, after the first movie. Not Sponge Out of Water. It was the first one. It was the movie that came out in 2004. Pretty much the movie that everybody just absolutely had to go see if you were a SpongeBob fan. Now, why is that important? Well, let me tell you why. Because the original writers for SpongeBob, they left because they didn't think SpongeBob was going to need a fourth season. They made it all the way up to they did season 1, that went off without a hitch. Went really well, was really successful. Season 2 wasn't the greatest season, but it went off pretty okay. Season 3 was absolute gold, and then the writers tanked. The writing for it tanked, and then it just stopped. They stopped producing well, maybe not classic episodes, but this kind of has to do with the day that Thomas died. Kind of has to do with that a little bit, but it's more with SpongeBob and Nickelodeon, because their number one show is SpongeBob. All you 90s kids know what I'm talking about. Late 90s, early 2000s. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. So pretty much SpongeBob was their cash cow, per se. And then right after the 2000 era started to begin, that was when all the nerds and becoming a nerd was starting to become popular. Being a comic book person was kind of starting to become popular. And then we had shows like Fairly Odd Parents, which are really good. And then we had shows like Jimmy Neutron, which was shaky but okay. Then we had the X's; those guys were pretty good. Then we had Danny Phantom, which lasted for a good 10 years, and then they stopped producing episodes in 2012. And then we had shows like My Life as a Teenage Robot. That was okay. I'm not gonna say I have opinions about that show, but I'm not really gonna get into it. Then we had the Rugrats, which were in the early 90s and late 90s and early 2000s, which was okay, and that was a good show. And then we got into the early 2000s when it kind of took a dive, and then they stopped producing episodes for that. And then after that, we had All Grown Up, which aired in roughly 2002 to 2007, and that's when they stopped making episodes for that show. And the Rugrats were finished. Finito. Done. Zip. Nada. Gone. I didn't like the Rugrats, but it was an okay show. I will admit it was an okay show. Sorry, I need a toothpick because there's a popcorn kernel stuck in my teeth. My teeth. No better. There we go. Sorry, that had to happen. But anyways, so that was in late 2007, and that was when Rugrats was finished. And then we started getting iCarly, which was in like 2006 to 7, I want to say is when it started. I could be entirely wrong when that started. Actually, let me know what day that started. Let me know in the comments below. But that we got iCarly, which was pretty good, and then we had what was that show with Ariana Grande? I could be entirely wrong. I don't remember what it was called. I don't remember what it was called. Leave that down in the comments below. Then we had Sam and Cat. It had Cat in the previous show, but I don't remember what the previous show was called. It was like in between iCarly and then that show and then Sam and Cat, and then that show ended. Then that show ended with Cat going to jail, and then that was when the season finale started to go around. But anyways, actually that was when the whole finale of the show started to go around. But still, that was a good show. Those were good shows. They made funny episodes. They were really good about that. And then, all that stuff came crashing down. They pretty much stopped producing good episodes of that. But backtrack all the way to 2005 when this show came out. Yes, all you people know what I'm talking about. This show was absolute gold. It was so much gold that they needed a sequel to it. But the sequel didn't start until 2000 and let me double check what year that started. Yeah, pay attention to this. Crap, I can't find a startup date on this thing. It started in 2012. 2012, yes. This show ran from 2005 up to 2008, and then 4 years later, Brian Konietzko and Michael DiMartino said, "Hey, we got a lot of amazing feedback off this show. We need a sequel. We definitely need a sequel." Pretty much, Aang here. Legend of Korra takes place 70 years after Aang, or it takes place not 70 years. It takes place 70 years after the 100-Year War, and then 2 years after 2 years, I think, after Aang dies, is when Korra found out she was the Avatar, and then after that, it took place like maybe another good 10 years. Maybe 13 years. I could be wrong. I could be entirely wrong when Korra found out she was the Avatar, but pretty much, needless to say, these were good shows because they had Japanimation for them. Avatar, or maybe not Japanimation. Korean animation was used for Avatar, the complete series, and I think it was Japanimation that was used for Legend of Korra, the complete series. So pretty much, these were really good series. And the problem with this one is that there was not a fourth season like it was planned. There was a fourth season planned, but unfortunately, we never got it. Because, number one, the 100-Year War was over, Zuko became Fire Lord, Aang became a better Avatar, got married to Katara, had children. I personally wish that there was another season. I wish there was another season of this to explain a little bit more about Republic City for this one. I really wish there was a bit more explanation for that, but I'm not going to cry about it. Now, I know this episode is titled The Day That Nickelodeon Died, but, you know, it's kind of turning into an Avatar kind of thing, because I love that show. I absolutely love it. I just do. It's just absolutely amazing. When did this one come out? 2000... Wow, pretty recent. And then this one came out in next year. Okay, well, all right. Sorry, I'm just looking at the dates that the complete series came out for all of the shows. But, you know, I'm not going to cry about that. So, pretty much when they stopped producing shows like this, and this, was the day that Nickelodeon died. And the writers for SpongeBob, after that had gone down and they left, it was just not as good of a show. Now, I'm bashing on these newer shows because, number one, they don't really appeal to the 90s, the 90s and early 2000s era. Now, I know this one's pretty recent because they just finished the show 4 years ago. Well, maybe not 4 years. I think it was 3 years ago when they finished the show. But they finished this show, Legend of Korra, 3 years ago, with Korra and Asami becoming girlfriends, I suppose. Not the, you know, oh yeah, she's totally my girlfriend, we're good friends, and all that fun stuff. It was the lesbian type of girlfriend. And yes, I do believe that that was a good call on Brian Konietzko and Michael DiMartino. That was a good call for Korra. Having trouble with the men, just go straight for the women. Now, that does not change my views and opinions, and do not write... I'm sure there are plenty comments down there already saying, you know, I'm sure whatever community that is telling me, yeah, they had to do that because that was starting to become a big thing. And I'm like, well... And then there's somebody who's gonna call me just a person who's a gay hater and all that. Well, you know what? If you want to call me that, by all means, go ahead. I don't care. I just don't. I don't care if you think I'm a gay hater. I don't care if you think I'm a homophobic. I don't care if you think that. You can think that all you want. That still doesn't change my opinion that I know is true. Personally, whatever makes you happy, go for it. I don't care. I don't care. It's not my thing. I love women, totally do. But pretty much, when Nickelodeon stopped producing shows like these, and, you know, when SpongeBob's writers took a nosedive, and they stopped snorting all the cocaine that the Office could supply, and when they brought in shows like Henry Danger and Loud House, which can go screw themselves because I absolutely hate those shows. Those shows can just literally leave Nickelodeon, and I wouldn't care. I just wouldn't. And then, you know, I just wouldn't care. I really wouldn't. If those shows just magically one day left Nickelodeon, I wouldn't care. I just wouldn't care, personally. And I'm sure most of the people who watched Nickelodeon during the late 90s, early 2000s, and grew up watching the shows like, classic shows like SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, Jimmy Neutron, what was the other classic show? It was on right after SpongeBob. Crap, I can't think of it. Anyways, there were a bunch of shows that were on after SpongeBob the majority of the time, and they were all good shows. That was the thing. They were all good shows. And they actually had a storyline to it. Now, granted, there was a YouTuber, and I believe it was Toon Critic that said this, that said SpongeBob is a lot like Family Guy. There's a story to every episode, but it's not in a chronological order type of show, where you start with one thing and you progressively get up to the climax of the story, and then you end it, and then it's over. But that happens with every single episode. Until that happened with every single episode up until season 4. Now many of you are going to say, well, why was season 4 that horrible? Well, it didn't really capitalize on the audience anymore. Yes, they kept all the same voice actors, they kept all the same people, but it wasn't really capturing the essence of what SpongeBob really was. Now, granted, these shows, I have a particular niche for these shows because they have a story to them, and each episode is building up to the end of the season. Like, for example, in Legend of Korra. Now, if you open your Legend of Korra complete series Bibles to page 1 and 2, you will note that there are discs called Book 1 called Air. Now, that was all about Korra learning how to airbend and learning how to defeat the Equalists, and there's always going to be a villain in these. Now, if you turn to page 2, you will notice that the discs in here are called Book 2 Spirits. Now, Book 2 Spirits is pretty much Korra learning how to deal with the spiritual side of the Avatar state. And then if you turn to Book 3, the book is called Change. And that's pretty much Korra dealing with all the changes of what has happened since all of the spirits had been released and all that fun stuff. After pretty much all that spirit nonsense was over and done with. Now, if you turn into page 4, it shows her. The book 4 is pretty much called Balance. Now, Balance was all about keeping the world in balance, or in Book 4's case, the Earth Kingdom. So, this had a storyline to it. Now, granted, I am biased to this one more because it was a really good show that I would watch when I would come home from school. But this one had a good series too. Get off my screen. Sorry, there's something on my screen and I can't get rid of it. Come on, get off my screen. I know you want... Nope. Get off my screen. Thank you. There we go. Now, if you open your Avatar Complete Series Bibles to Book 1 called Water, there are 5 discs. And pretty much the first disc is learning that, hey, guess what? The Avatar is still alive after 100 years. You know, a little late, but he's still alive. Now, if you turn to page 2, that's pretty much 2, 3, and 4, or discs 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's pretty much everything leading up to getting to the North Pole, which is pretty much their journey to the Earth Kingdoms, in the swamps, and pretty much all of the little Earth Kingdom villages leading up to. Now, if you turn to disc 5, it's pretty much everything leading up to getting to the North Pole, and where Aang has to face the Fire Nation, and where he ends up getting rid of Commander Zhao, who is the antagonist. Or, yes, he is the antagonist of the series, which is pretty much just, the Avatar is so important, he's so important, I gotta kill the Avatar, gotta get him wiped off the planet. So that is Book 1. Now, if you go to Volume 2, or Book 2 in this case, you will notice that there are only 4 discs. Now, Disc 2, or Disc 1, Book 2, Disc 1, it is pretty much Aang traveling through towns, learning about Azula. We learn about Azula and her feud with Zuko and Iroh. We learn about all that. And then if you turn to Disc 2, this is pretty much Aang finding an earthbending teacher and leading the way up to Ba Sing Se, where pretty much learning earthbending is crucial, and having to figure out where everything is in the world, and learning about the Dai Li and the corrupt agents and the drill, all that stuff. Gotta alert the king to know that there is a war going on, because the king has been secluded from the outside world for close to 100 years, or the king and queen, or of whatever age and dynasty that was. But they have been secluded from the world for almost 100 years, and the Dai Li have been keeping it secret from them, and pretty much Aang and his team, and the Team Avatar, has to pretty much get that all sorted out. Now, if you turn to book 2, disc 4, this is where Aang gets struck down by Azula. End of book 2. But pretty much, Azula was going to kill him. I'm just going to straight up say it. She was going to kill him. Not even going to sugarcoat it. She was going to kill him in the Avatar state. If it hadn't been for, oh, wait for it, in book 1, where Katara gets the spirit water, or gets the water from the spirit world from Master Paku. Pretty much, if you remember that from disc 1, you'll disc 1 of this season 2 or book 2. Book 2, disc 1. If you watch the first episode, you'll know that they were on the road heading to Amashu, where Bumi was captured, and pretty much all that stuff. So, yeah, if it weren't for the spirit water and all that, Aang would not have been alive. So, that's book 2. Aang lives, gets shot down by Azula, gets returned back to life, and pretty much everything is all honky-dory. Or, without the Fire Nation winning the war, sort of. Now, if you turn to book 3, Fire, you will also notice that there is only 4 discs. What a surprise! Now, disc 1 is all about the invasion plan. Oh, I also forgot to mention, before we get into book 3, I totally forgot. In book 2, they visited a spirit library where Master Wan Shitong basically had information about the next solar eclipse, and the solar eclipse pretty much blocks all firebenders, thus rendering firebenders inert for at least a while. Now, in book 3, Fire, disc 1, we learned about the invasion plan and all that fun stuff, and they're pretty much getting ready to get all that started and get all that out of the way, and just pretty much get the ball rolling in that neighborhood. And furthermore, okay, so it's still connected. Sorry, I have a problem with these cases sometimes because, you know, pretty much all that fun stuff. And then if you turn to disc 2 of book 3, Fire, it is pretty much the invasion plan executed, failed, and they left with their tails between their legs. Disc 3 is pretty much all about Zuko helping Aang learn how to master firebending and getting all that started and getting everything ready to go. And then if you turn to book 3, disc 4, it is pretty much all about the execution plan and how they're going to defeat the Fire Lord. And I'm not going to spoil anything for anybody about the end, because you know what? No, I'm not going to spoil it. If you haven't seen the show by now, then what rock have you been sitting under? Because this is a good show, really good show. But pretty much, Aang has pretty much mastered all the... Oh, well, maybe not mastered. He has learned all the basics and the majority of what he needs to know in order to face the Fire Lord. So, now that we got all that covered, I don't know anything about the show. Truth be told, I just don't know anything about it at all. So, yeah, I don't know anything about these shows at all. I don't know that they were made by the same person. I don't know that at all. But anyways, enough about that. Enough about those shows. Nickelodeon pretty much took a chance with Legend of Korra, making the first 3 seasons. They weren't sure about how the 4th season was going to turn out. They had a 5th one scheduled, but unfortunately, they didn't like the idea of having the first lesbian avatar or the first bisexual avatar, as they stated, Brian Konietzko and Michael DiMartino, you can look up the final ending scene on YouTube where Korra and Asami kiss. Oh, I spoiled it. Spoiler alert! So, anyways, they pretty much kissed at the end going into the spirit portal in Republic City after Korra pretty much has to face Kuvira. Kuvira's spirit weapon is pretty much just majorly damaged, but it's still operational, so she manages to bend all the energy and make a new spirit portal. So they pretty much go through the spirit portal, have a vacation, come back, and there are several comic books that explain Korrasami, and it pretty much explains all of that. So, there's pretty much nothing else I can explain about these shows anymore, other than I can really tell you guys, or other than you probably should already know because you haven't been living under a rock for the past, well, what is it now, 18, 19 years? Yeah, that's what I thought. So, next year, SpongeBob turns 20 years old, and pretty much we're going to have the 20-year anniversary, much like the 10th anniversary, which was kind of meh. And then I'm sure there's going to be some sort of next Avatar, but it's probably going to be a Netflix exclusive. I would bet on it. Butch Hartman is still creating more Fairly Odd Parents episodes, as far as I know. Those shows these are pretty much the basics of Nickelodeon. Are the foundation of Nickelodeon are pretty much these three shows: SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, and crap, what was the third one? Darn it! Or correction, from the 90s up to 2005, the foundation was SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, and Jimmy Neutron, up to 2005, and then from 2005 onward, it was SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, and Avatar up till 2008. Then up till 2008, it was SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, and iCarly, and then up to 2010, it was SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents. I can't remember what the middle show was. I can't remember what it was. I think it was Kicking It. Maybe not. I don't know. It's kind of shady within that area, but I'm not 100% sure. It was the show with crap. It was the show with Ariana Grande. Let's put it that way. She was a singer. They were all singers. And then it was pretty much up until 2010 up till 2012. It was pretty much from till 2010 till 2012 when it became SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, and Sam and Cat. And then from 2012 up till 2013, maybe 2014. It's kind of shady in there. Was that when it ended? It was when it ended. It only lasted 2 years. That means they produced 2 seasons a year. 2 seasons every two seasons a year. So from up till 2013 is when they had is when Legend of Korra came in, and it was SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, and Legend of Korra. And then now the foundation of it is SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, and The Loud House. I cannot condone watching that show. It was absolute garbage. I cannot watch that show without wanting to vomit or gouge my eyes out because it's just absolutely horrible. I don't get why you would need to make a show about pretty much 13 girls living in a house and one boy. I can't condone watching that show. I just can't. But I do condone these shows. If you are a fan of the Avatar series, I would suggest buying these shows. Sorry, it's looked the wrong way. I would suggest buying both of these shows because they are both really good. Both of these are roughly around $30, brand new. If you want to find them, you can find them used on websites like Mercari and eBay. But if you buy them on Mercari, you're most likely gonna find the sets broken up. But if you want to buy this one brand new at Walmart, I know you can get it right now for $30, brand new. And this one, I know you can get it on eBay for about $25. And if you want to get the Blu-ray version at Walmart, it'll be about $40 because it's Blu-ray and they're in much nicer condition. So pretty much, if you want to get these sets for yourself, you can do that. You can pretty much find any SpongeBob season you want for roughly $10 to $30. The newer ones, I'm pretty darn sure, are roughly... The newer ones, I'm sure, are roughly $20 to $25. At least that's the most you're going to pay. I don't know how much Fairly Odd Parents costs. I haven't really looked into that quite yet. I would like to look into it, just not today. But anyways, hope you guys stay tuned because the next video we do is going to be Transformers Leader Class Age of Extinction Optimus Prime. And then after that, it's Leader Class Grimlock. And then after that, I don't know what we're going to do. I think we might have to do Magic Railroad. I'm not sure about that. So, pretty much, watch what you can, get what you can out. I appreciate that. I am also not going to be able to go up into my room for a while because, number one, like I said, there was a gas leak and it's nasty. I'm not comfortable going up there for at least another 2 to 3 days, so I wouldn't be surprised. When we go to my vacation house, pretty much, we will be doing Magic Railroad at that point, and then it will be in parts. So we're gonna do part 1, which is gonna be roughly 20-ish so minutes, and then the next one, then part 2 is gonna be another 20-ish so minutes. Part 3 is going to be 30 minutes, and then the next part's going to be 20 minutes. So we're going to have a round total of 4 parts of Magic Railroad. We're going to do first part, 20 minutes, second part, 20 minutes, third part, 30 minutes, and then next part is another 20 minutes. Maybe we will. I don't even think we're going to need to do the end credits. I don't think it's really necessary. I really don't. But we can because, you know, it's Thomas and Friends. And then after that, we will work on Goof Season 3. Be prepared because we are going to have more of Ice Star 552. He really enjoys that. I'm going to see what we can get, if we can get him involved. And if I can get a couple other YouTubers involved. I might see if I can get Treble and John involved. I don't know how his YouTube channel is. It's been like forever since I got him involved. We might get Catsman's involved. I don't know who else we can get involved. But yeah, we're gonna see what we can do. Other than that, pretty much, don't forget to keep playing with them toys. Don't forget to keep playing with them trains. The whole spiel. Don't forget to subscribe for more content. Don't forget to leave a comment down below. And don't forget to pretty much just keep watching TV. I appreciate it. I really do. Don't forget to keep watching YouTube. That's what keeps me happy. It keeps me happy. Thank you. Goodbye.